might be.
I'm just talking to my boob the whole time.
Better you than me.
I'm talking to you. All right. Oh, that's really crazy. This is like the center of the universe when we were all sitting there. It was like all echo chambery. Okay, so I'm totally nervous, but I'm going to pretend I didn't see Jared speak earlier. Okay, so we're going to talk about health and fitness today. And normally talks like this will start with obesity statistics or food quality in the country or maybe the latest fitness craze. But this one is actually going to start with a little insight on self-worth. Specifically, it's going to start in the 6th grade. 6th grade. Very awkward. That's 1985 at its best right there. You know, when I was in 6th grade, puberty was hitting hard. You know, I was kind of growing out more than I was growing up, and my face was exploding, and I had these boobs, and boys made fun of me, and I was already aware that I had thunder thighs. And in fact, I remember being in class talking to a boy that I really liked and telling him all about my thunder thighs. You know, and I can't even imagine the context of a classroom conversation where discussing one's thighs is remotely relevant. But from a very young age, we start getting these messages about the kind of people we're supposed to want to be. I wanted to be Wonder Woman. Who didn't? So these messages we get, and you know, they come from different areas in our little lives. From being told to look pretty or handsome and smiling for the camera. Maybe it's the princess or the superhero cartoons that we're watching, magazine covers in the grocery aisle. Maybe it's just kind of overhearing our moms talk about how they think they should be. But by the time I was 11 years old, I'd gotten the message that I had big old chunky thighs, and this was not something to be proud of. And in fact, it was actually something to be ashamed of. So Thunder Thighs here grows up, and I spent the next 30 some odd years trying to fight my body. I've always hated my thighs, and in fact, it's the only way I've been able to ever relate to them is with a hatred. So it hasn't mattered if I've just been normal, if I've been pregnant, or a little fat, or extremely fit. Because I always had these chunky thighs no matter what I did, I didn't think it was enough, and I didn't think I was enough. So this hatred that I had for my body, it kind of led to a punishment. Now, punishment can come in many different shapes and sizes. First, I would punish my body with a complete lack of motivation. Very lazy, no exercise, kind of, you know, putting lots of fast food and whatever into my body and just not really caring, and it meant me carrying a lot more weight on my frame than I could handle. And then other times I would engage in this fitness through, or punishment through fitness. Has anybody ever jumped into a weight loss program or a fitness exercise that they were not prepared for? P90X, big failure. Or I would go on diets that were too restrictive, or I would buy diet pills that either made me feel weird or just were way too expensive. You know, and in all fairness, some of these things did work on some level, but even when I've been fit, eating very healthy, working out, doing yoga, sleeping well, you know, because my thighs, oh wow, I did something wrong there. Because my thighs were always chunky, I just didn't think I was good enough. So I used to think I was alone in this. You know, it's commonplace to sit around with friends, groan about the upcoming swimsuit season, or, you know, laugh about our gluttonous escapades around the Thanksgiving buffet. But these conversations are usually pretty surface level. They're very, you know, they're not very deep. But last year I had the privilege of coaching over 20 people through a direct marketed weight loss program. And for the first time ever, I actually had deep, soul-bearing conversations with people about their bodies and about their weight. And I finally realized that this perfection ideal that we have, it really weighs down most everyone. I had clients who would lose 5 pounds in 24 days and think it wasn't enough. They'd be terribly disappointed. Or others who thought that because they couldn't do the program with complete perfection, that it just wasn't even worth doing at all. And then there were others, and these were the ones that I struggled with. They had great results in 24 days, and they were so proud of themselves. And then as soon as the program was over, they would go right back to where they were before. Because perfection is really just too hard to maintain for most people. And if you're like me, your Facebook feed is flooded with amazing before and afters, Or some dude with like 8 abs. Who has 8 abs? 8 abs trying to tell you, put down that cheeseburger, get yourself to the gym. And it's hard to swing a dead cat most days without hearing a news story or a web article or, a magazine cover trying to tell you how to get the best butt ever, or the flattest abs, or everybody's favorite celebrity, how did she do it? And when we don't live up to these crazy high standards of personal appearance, and we don't because we're human and we're constantly growing and changing, well, you can start to feel like a failure and very unworthy. We've truly messed up somewhere in our society where we've paired self-worth with physical appearance. Because by the time most kids hit the playground, they are already aware that their value is somehow connected with their looks. They're already aware that skinny and pretty is good, and fat and ugly is bad. And I personally spent over a year promoting these before and afters and encouraging people to get bikini ready and to join me in dropping a pumpkin by Halloween. I actually marketed drop a pumpkin by Halloween. But sometimes in the past 6 months or so, and because of those conversations with those clients, I started changing the conversation and not so much about dropping pumpkins, but let's talk about self-worth and its role in health and fitness. I lost a lot of readers. A lot of people didn't understand what I was doing. Because you see, I am still a certified personal trainer. I do still believe in physical fitness. I'm training for my nutrition coach certification. I do talk about the health or the food quality in our country. My belief in these things hasn't changed, and yet I'm going to stand here and tell you today that you are amazing and exactly how you are, no matter what. I am telling you that you are worthy. Oh, yes, you are. You are worthy. So why this change from how to lose a bunch of weight to, hey, you're worthy and you're awesome? Well, a few things. The first one, because I was just not comfortable being a part of a business world who profits off of making other people feel bad about themselves. Because Thinspiration and pro-anorexia blogs, those are real things. Because our children, especially our daughters, but even our sons, you want to know what? They're watching us and they're listening and they're emulating us. Because this idea that your worth as a human being and therefore as some productive member of society is somehow dependent on your looks, that's awful. Because I still struggle. Of course I do. I've spent 40 years believing my worth depended on my looks, a lifetime of hating thighs. And you want to know what? I have a 15-year-old stepdaughter, and she is watching me. Don't make me cry. So let's set this record straight. Your body, her body, his body, my body. It is a gift from God. He has placed its care in your hands, not your mom's hands, not just those first few weeks after, oh my goodness, you're going to cry. Not just those first few weeks of January, but for a lifetime. And because this vessel is his gift to us, we're clearly worthy. This country's weight-related issues, they're real. Your physical health and fitness is extremely important, and this is not about magazine covers or six-pack abs. If you don't know how to eat, then talk to your doctor. Talk to a nutritionist. You're worth it. If you're not sure how to exercise, well, join a gym, hire a personal trainer. You can rent DVDs from the library. Maybe it's just buying a good pair of shoes and going for a walk every day because you are worth it. And if you don't know how to relax and calm your body down when you need to, take a yoga class. It's my favorite. Buy a meditation CD. Maybe it's just a really good daily devotional app on your phone because you are worth it. And if you're out there right now, and I can tell that some of you are because you're making me cry, if you're feeling right now that you are not worth it, if your self-hatred is so ingrained as mine was, you wouldn't know self-worth if it came up and slapped you across the face. Well, understand this. You are not alone. You're talking to Thunder Thighs here, okay? okay? Someone who placed her value and her worth on whether or not she could attain inner thigh clearance at some point in her life. And I will let you know, you saw that previous picture. I did attain it for about 2 months last year, and shockingly, I was the exact same person. Except that you need to include finding your self-worth into an overall health and fitness program. Because it's all connected. This is like a mind, body, soul thing here. If you expect to find true, long-lasting health and fitness, you're going to need to dig deep and find the worth that God has planted within you, because it's in there, and you are not going to find it in the pages of the next fitness magazine. Finding your self-worth is a process, not necessarily a quick and easy one. So, how will you find your self-worth? First off, we need to start creating some positive body image. Realize that right now, here today, I don't care what your pant size says or what the scale says, but your body is beautiful. Thick thighs, gangly arms, pudgy belly, I don't care what it is. You are how God made you. On any given night, these thunder thighs of mine, they carry the weight of 2 boys, a stack of books, and maybe even a dog or 2. There is nothing about me that's a mistake, and there's nothing about you that's a mistake. I want you to repeat that over and over again. And next, we need to acknowledge what is so awful about ourselves. Let's acknowledge those elephants in the room. Let's acknowledge our thunder thighs. And maybe it's an emotional awful. Maybe it's something like cheating on a spouse or failing as a son or daughter, because you want to know what personal failure can weigh you down just as much as physical weight. So let's talk about that. And by talking about that, you kind of know where I'm going. We're talking about sharing your story with other people, because I guarantee you someone needs to hear it. Find whatever safe place you can. It may be your spouse, it may be a friend, it may be an online amazing group. When you share your story, you realize you're not alone and you connect. And connection, we all know that's where the magic happens. Connections become cheerleaders. Now you're gonna need cheerleaders, because there's gonna be tough days here. Remember, you're battling decades of self-hatred. And while we're adding positive body image and cheerleaders behind us, we're gonna need to talk about the toxic things in your life. No one wants to shut people out. But if there is a presence in your life that brings up all you hate about yourself, it needs to go. In the cases of close family members, this might involve some painful conversations and maybe minimizing times with people that we actually love. And let's step away from the magazines and the celebrity-based television and those media forces that are constantly telling you what's wrong with you and how you look, because that's not motivation, that is shame. And once we start to neutralize these negative influences, we can start to forgive. Forgiveness is involved in here too. Forgive yourself for the wrongs you have done. Forgive others who have wronged you. This is a cathartic process. We're digging deep here to find some self-worth, and forgiveness is going to be one of the harder ones. But I promise you there's a really great harvest on the other side. Because when you've let it all out, and you've acknowledged pain, and you've made connections, and you've got a support, and you've forgiven and you have support, you can start to see the good, because there's good. What makes you awesome? Everyone has something that makes them awesome. Spend your time and your money on those things. This isn't necessarily about career dreams, though it certainly can be, but this is really about spending your free time living life and doing what you love. Because a person who's living honestly, support and forgiveness, spending their time doing what they love, that's who you are. It's self-acceptance, and that is self-worth. Millions of people in this country start a health and fitness journey pretty much every Monday. And if you're willing to go through this process of finding your self-worth alongside that journey, you just might be one of the few who actually succeeds at becoming truly healthy and fit. Thank you.